obviously now we need to talk about the ending. So he hears the truth. He has a psychotic break, passes out, comes around both literally, and he accepts, not outside the penultimate scene. He seemingly accepts. That's it. I think they make him say, "You need to tell us," and he says, and that's where he makes it crystal clear what happened. My wife killed our kids. I killed her. Blah blah blah. Then he's outside. One thing I don't. Yeah, we didn't say it explicitly. Mark Ruffalo turns out to be his doctor, but who was chaperoning him throughout to like care for him and protect him. That's one thing. Maybe on the first time when you're figuring everything out, and even the second, you don't realize it. But there are people on the island that are definitely bad guys, like the warden, who's like, "Yeah, I want to just beat the shit out of you, like you're an animal." But the Ben Kingsley character and the Mark Ruffalo character, they genuinely care for Teddy. And obviously what he did is terrible, but I think we can all empathize about why he did it. So that's, obviously they feel that way.
Well, as he says at the beginning, he's like, he's not here to judge the act, and to them they're just patients. Which
is a great quote. So he sat there, and they've basically laid out at this point that this is, if he's fine, then he's okay, but if he relapses, they're going to lobotomize him. And Mark Ruffalo sits next to him. I think he's quite clearly the doctor as well. And he's just like, "How are you doing?" And he says, like, "I need to get off this rock, Chuck," which implies that he's relapsed. Mark Ruffalo gives a signal to Ben Kingsley, and he very, very voluntarily goes with them, and they show the spite that they're going to lobotomize him. What is your... And so the very, very important line, final line Leo says is, "Which would be worse, to live as a monster or die as a good man?" And then walks off to be... He says that after saying the Chuck thing. So, okay, you give me your interpretation of the ending.
Teddy Andreulaitis, as I think I interpret it as, in that moment, realizes he knows who he is, but would prefer not to take the risk of relapsing, and so chooses the lobotomy whilst he basically still has his wits with him. So yeah, that's what.
And then so he says that, "Die a good man." Do you think? And then he says, "Do you think Mark Ruffalo realizes what he's doing?" Because I think that's it. From him saying that, he pieces it together, and I think that's it. No, that's it. As he gets up, he says Teddy, and Leo doesn't even like react, because the fact is he's pretending to be Teddy. So he should respond to Teddy, but he doesn't, because he's actually Andreulaitis. And I think Mark Ruffalo knows that they're sending someone who's lucid to get lobotomized, but it doesn't matter, it's too late.
Yeah. I also, just right before the precursor to that, I'm not sure why he goes, "Hey boss," like he's in Teddy, he starts the conversation as him already being in Teddy mode.
I think he's testing him.
Yeah.
I think he's prompting him as if he was Teddy to see if whether he is Teddy or he snaps back into Teddy, which obviously he seemingly does. I interpret it, so I don't disagree with what you said, but I see a variant to it. Obviously the relapse is a big thing. The Ben Kingsley does say that they've done this before, and that it's crazy. They don't specifically say they went through this exact same thing before, but they do say they did something. So you imagine if all the staff and stuff, this is like, "We've done this already and it didn't work. We're really spending 3 days doing this."
No, I don't think they went to that extent.
Yeah, but he relapsed. I think obviously there's the fear of the relapse, but I think it is more just generally, even if he doesn't relapse, he doesn't want to live knowing what he did, and he'd rather be dead or brain dead. So he would rather die a good man. I guess the dying a good man... No, I think you're right. The dying...
But at the same time, dying is because you wouldn't even...
You wouldn't
even die. You'd be dying late. He'd die later on, obviously.
Yeah, but he means die. Like, his mind would die.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of being lobotomized is that you're basically just like a vegetable then. So I think you are right. I think he means dying a good man, because at least he can like look his fate in the eye and be like, "I'm making this conscious choice to this happening to me," rather than him relapsing, being crazy, and having it being forced upon him. But that's the thing. Live as a monster. They're kind of... To live as a monster makes me think of my theory that he doesn't want to be lucid knowing what he did, which means he would live as a monster. But maybe dying as a good man means he's pretending to be, even though he knows he's not, he's pretending to be Teddy, and Teddy is a good man. So Teddy gets lobotomized, which means Teddy is dying a good man, whereas if he doesn't get lobotomized, he's Andrew, and Andrew is living as a monster. Does that work?
Say that last part again.
His two options are basically. So we both agree that up until the end he is lucid. He knows that he's Andrewlitis. So if he just stays as Andrewlitis, Chuck comes over and says, "Oh hey boss," and he's like, "Why are you talking like to me, doctor?" He goes, "Okay, great, thumbs up, everyone's fine." He then just stays on the island forever, knowing what he did. So he's living as a monster. Yeah. Whereas if he pretends to be Teddy, who is a good man, and he gets lobotomized, he's dying as a good man.
Yeah, in his eyes.
Because otherwise, I mean, we're nitpicking here. But if he is obviously live as a monster is unambiguous. Andrewlitis is not a good man.
No.
Obviously, he's a man of violence, not a violent man.
Yeah.
But he's not a good man. So I think he needs to be Teddy to die as a good man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, that does make sense, yeah.
Okay. I think we cracked it.
Yeah.
But so you mentioned before you think there is some ambiguity in the end. This is what I was saying. I think, okay, we're nitpicking over the exact interpretation of the line and stuff. But to me, the fact that it was all in his head, the fact that what was real and what wasn't at the end, and then the fact that he definitely is lucid at the end and he is voluntarily getting lobotomized, to me that's all clear cut.
Well, actually, but could you argue, how do we know? What tells us he is lucid? Why could he not be completely back to Teddy at that point?
Because Mark Ruffalo says Teddy and he doesn't react, and that's meant to
is that
and the line, "To live as a monster or die as a good man," would make no sense for Teddy to say that, would it?
Yeah, something referring to Ladus, i.e., what, in his mind, Ladus, but...
No, it's a very short conversation.
No.
And he says it, and it's very much like, he says, "Chuck, we gotta get off this rock." And then the signal happens, and, like, everything falls into place. And then he really feels like, ironically, he's in control of the scene. Because once he knows that basically his fate is sealed, that's when he says the line to Mark Ruffalo, and then Mark Ruffalo realizes, oh, he's played us. He's actually lucid. We're about to lobotomize someone who doesn't need it, and that's when he says Teddy, and he just walks straight off. So even if he was Teddy, he would respond. Or even if he was Teddy and he didn't respond, it's saying he's ignoring him, so he's like accepting his fate. Because that's another thing you can tell from the body language of the way he gets up. He knows exactly. There's no forcing him. Yeah. He walks straight to his fate. Like a man in a stereotypical point. So
yeah, okay.
So do you concede it's not very ambiguous?
No, I concede. Yeah.
Okay, unambiguous ending. Love it. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more full episodes and bonus content like this. And you can also follow us on Instagram. So see you next time.